It's one of the greatest internet mysteries.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain!
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're revisiting the classic movie musical The Wizard of Oz to search for some of the most notorious deleted and censored scenes. Tall tales have long surrounded the now mythical Hollywood set.
Very mysterious.
But these scrapped bits were actually recorded and then cut for surprising reasons. So grab your ruby red slippers, because we're taking you to the land of lost media, where expensive dance sequences, iconic songs, and some truly disturbing moments were archived forever.
It's gonna be so hard to say goodbye.
Jitterbug. The Wizard of Oz is full of timeless song and dance numbers, standing out as a contender for the best film score of all time.
You're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz.
Yet one massive scene was completely removed from the 1939 film early on. Let's set the stage. Dorothy and co. are traveling to the witch's castle to vanquish her.
I'd turn back if I were you.
To halt their efforts, the witch devises an evil plan and delivers this line.
They'll give you no trouble, I promise you that. I've sent a little insect on ahead to take the fight out of them.
The insect she's referring to was meant to be the Jitterbug, a mosquito-like insect that attacks the crew and causes them to spontaneously break out in song and dance. The scene was choreographed and the track was recorded, costing $80,000, or almost $2 million when adjusted for inflation. So why would this mammoth sequence be cut? Well, there's a number of reasons. For one, several producers felt it stuck out in an odd way. The Jitterbug was a period swing dance, so there was a serious concern that it would cause the film to age poorly.
So with the jitterbugs of the so-called blighted areas. Give them some floor space and free music, and you've got a fair bet they'll turn out to be good citizens.
There was also dated trepidation about the reference dance's association with alcohol consumption and its origins in mixed-race Harlem establishments.
Keep that rhythm, Heat. One more riff like that and I'll be gone. Oh man, don't stop, now we're jumping.
The biggest factor for removal comes from producer Mervyn LeRoy's initiative to trim at least 20 minutes off of the original runtime. The recording of the song does still exist, but only amateur footage of it being filmed has ever appeared online.
The jitterbug. Oh, the jitter. Oh, the bug. Oh, the jitter.
The much sought-after lost scene was added back into several theater productions later.
Keep away from the jitterbug. The jitterbug.
As well as the animated film Tom and Jerry Back to Oz.
Away from the jitterbug.
The joint is jumping now.
The Wicked Witch. The Technicolor masterpiece was a magical adventure created with young audiences in mind. But during test screenings, there were a number of claims that the Wicked Witch of the West was far too scary.
I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog, too.
This is backed by reports of terrified children being carried out of the theater after she appeared on screen. While the witch originally had an even bigger part, at least a dozen of her lines were trimmed or removed entirely. This shortened her screen time to only 12 minutes.
You cursed brat! Look what you've done!
Take this studio shot of her twisting her gnarled fingers through Dorothy's hair. It's unclear if this moment was promotional or actually intended to be in the film, though it's easy to see how the witch's menacing presence was a little too much for the young munchkins to handle. One of the most famous special effects in the film is the scrawling of Surrender Dorothy, created by the witch's broomstick. At one point, this included the additional threat, or die.
You see that? That's how much longer you've got to be alive. And it isn't long, my pretty. It isn't long.
Margaret Hamilton, the actress who portrayed the famed witch, was devastated to learn that kids everywhere were suddenly horrified by the sight of her. She'd been a longtime sponsor for PBS Broadcasting and deeply loved working with children.
Children are absolutely marvelous.
Hamilton went on TV numerous times to attempt to demystify her wicked creation, including an appearance on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Well, there's your old friend, the Wicked Witch of the West.
How did she talk?
Well, she talked like this. It's very nice to see you.
Oh, that would be fun to be able to talk like that.
You can. They all can. You can do it too.
Unfortunately, her cameo on Sesame Street didn't go so well, traumatizing children all over again and causing that episode to be outright banned.
Why? What do you think you're doing with my room? Give it back!
Deleted songs. For such an incredible soundtrack, so much was left on the cutting room floor. Judy Garland actually reprised Over the Rainbow during the scene where she's trapped in the witch's castle and calling out for Auntie M.
I'm here in Oz, Annie M. I'm locked up in the witch's castle, and I'm trying to get home to you, Annie M.
The decision was made to have her sing this live, rather than lip-sync, in order to truly sell the emotional impact. It was shot twice, but ultimately scrapped and deleted, though an on-set recording does exist.
Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly. I'm frightened, Annie M. I'm frightened.
2029, take 3, 1060.
An even more controversial cut comes after the witch is defeated. Earlier in the film, after Dorothy's house squashes the Wicked Witch of the East, the Munchkins sing Ding Dong, the Wicked Witch is Dead.
Ding dong, the Wicked Witch is dead.
Later, after the Wicked Witch of the West melts, the head guard, known as a Winky, sings Hail, Hail, the Witch is Dead. At least, that was the original idea. This grand number would call back to the earlier scene, and the singing would be picked up by the townspeople. The spectacle can be seen for a few seconds in the original trailer.
No one has dared the towering task of giving life and reality to the land of Oz and its people.
And the audio recording has made its way to a deluxe CD.
Hail, hail, the witch is dead. Witch, oh witch, the wicked witch. Hail, hail, the wicked witch is dead.
It was ultimately trimmed for unknown reasons, marking another rather expensive sequence to be deleted. The scene's absence causes a rather abrupt shift in the third act, leaving many fans yearning for this climactic medley.
Now we can go back to the wizard and tell him the Wicked Witch is dead.
The Wicked Witch is dead, and I believe my eyes. Why have you come back?
Sadly, the footage has never been located, and may have even been destroyed in an MGM vault fire. Book bans. The 1900 novel The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum served as the source material for the iconic film.
One day he was sitting at his desk and looking at his filing cabinet, and the first drawer was A to N, and the second drawer was O to Z, which would be Oz.
Despite groundbreaking success, the book was actually censored and completely banned numerous times. The Chicago Public Library banished the book in 1928, citing the egregious offense of depicting women in leadership roles. In later decades, the conversation would once again focus on the supposedly controversial children's story. Concerns that the tale was an allegory for communism led to further pressure to pull the book from shelves. In 1957, public libraries in Detroit, Michigan banned it for having, quote, no value. Several fundamentalist Christian families in Tennessee created a stink that the story promoted, quote, ungodly magic and witchcraft, leading to a 1986 ruling that parents could have children leave the classroom when it was discussed in school. Today, it's hard to imagine that the celebrated novel was once deemed smut. As the times changed, it became increasingly obvious that this treasure is one of the most vital fairy tales to become a cultural landmark.
The Wizard of Oz has captivated the children of 4 generations and fired the imaginations of those youthful adults.
Major alterations. The film went through a number of major cast and crew changes during production. A total of 5 different directors rotated in and out to complete the film.
Victor Fleming was a good friend and took me around all the sets and went through the thing. And one day he left and I took over. It was about, as I remember, it was about 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks possibly.
Several major actors were swapped as well. Gail Sundergaard backed out of the witch role when the character's appearance changed from a demure femme fatale to a haggard old gremlin.
Witches are old and ugly.
A more major shakeup occurred when the original Tin Man actor, Buddy Ebsen, suffered a toxic reaction to the aluminum powder in his makeup. He left the set 10 days into filming, with no footage of his appearance ever seeing the light of day. All that exists are a few backstage stills, but his voice can be heard in some group vocals.
We come to see the wonderful Wizard of Oz.
Test footage shot by directors Norman Taroug and Richard Thorpe is deemed gone forever, but some photos from this era have found their way online. Interestingly, this image highlights the differences in wardrobe from director to director. Originally, the witch was meant to wear her hair down. More striking, though, is Dorothy's previous look. With long blonde hair and baby doll makeup, she actually captured more of a Lolita appearance. Under new direction, director George Cukor reimagined her with a natural look to appeal to the sense that she was just a little girl from Kansas.
Toto, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
TV broadcasts. Surprisingly, The Wizard of Oz was not a smash hit straight out of the gate. It struggled to break even during its original theatrical release, only garnering meteoric levels of success amidst subsequent re-releases and television broadcasts.
Here are 6 good reasons to watch The Wizard of Oz.
Because of the wonderful things he does.
Tonight on CBS.
When altered for home entertainment, the film had to account for commercial interruption. As a result, a number of cuts were made to the movie's runtime, with more in the pipeline whenever additional slots were sold.
The Wizard of Oz, brought to you in part by Campbell Soup Company. No other automaker sells more wagons than Ford.
While not outright censored or deleted like our other entries, it's interesting to note exactly what filmmakers chose to ditch. In a sense, this was the way millions first saw and remembered the film.
We now return to The Wizard of Oz, sponsored by McDonald's.
These edits were made largely between the 60s and 80s. They primarily included the removal of long tracking shots, establishing shots, and the MGM written forward. Fortunately, no dialogue or singing was removed. However, on a few occasions, the movie was actually time compressed or sped up.
There's Emerald City! Oh, we're almost there at last!
Today, The Wizard of Oz is only shown at its original speed without the additional trims.
Well, you're perfect now.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Beehive Animation. Since we've already concluded that the witch's most unsettling bits were spliced from the final cut, it's no wonder this next scene was never even animated. In the movie, the witch tells the Tin Man,
"I'll use you for a beehive."
And in a rather disturbing arrangement, she actually follows through with it.
Beehive, bah. Let her try and make a beehive out of me.
The plan was to have her quite literally turn the Tin Man into a beehive, with animated bees flying out of him and swarming the group. They'd eventually bend their stingers on his metal frame and fly off in defeat. In terms of keeping the film child-friendly, creators decided not to even start work on this crazy body horror concept. However, some fascinating dialogue has leaked. Apparently, the Tin Man would squash one of the bees and have a strong emotional reaction. "It's only a man without a heart who could do a thing like that," he'd say. It's interesting to imagine how the moment would have further developed the Tin Man's character.
If I only had a heart.
The scene was filmed, but never completed. Savvy viewers noted that the cut was covered up by mirroring the following shot, so it would only appear they were all in the same positions. Which pieces of Wizard of Oz lost media do you hope resurface? Follow the yellow brick road down to the comments below.